Hello everyone. You have a substitute today, but I wanted to make sure you got a little bit of help on your test review. So here we go. This looks like your review. If everybody will pull this out, and I want to go over a few problems with you. So the first problems, 1, 2, and 3, and then 4, 5, and 6. These are all just vocabulary problems. So if you're not sure which is the correct definition, you have an answer key, but if you need to go figure out what the definition is, go ahead and look in your notes to do those. Okay. The next set of problems, 7 all the way down through 12. 7 through 12, basically you have just a couple of different things that could happen. You could have two angles that are equal to 90. You could have two angles that are equal to 180, or you could have two angles that are equal to each other. So your job is to figure out which of these relationships applies to that particular problem and then solve the problem. So usually that requires setting up an equation. So these first few are pretty simple. So this little 90-degree angle here tells you that these two angles are also equal to 90. So you would say B plus 49 equals 90. And then go ahead and solve that. Okay. Then in these next ones, vertical angles, what do you know about those? Vertical angles, what do you know about those? These ones here, remember whenever you're dealing with this system of parallels, you can actually ignore this line here. That's not important. Whenever you're dealing with a system of parallels, remember there's only 8 angles in a system of parallels, and all of those angles are either acute or obtuse. So you can figure out, are these two angles here the same, or is one acute, one obtuse, and then they'd add up to 180. Okay? For a problem like number 12, you've got vertical angles here and vertical angles here. And then how many degrees are in a triangle? Yes, there are always 180 degrees in a triangle. And then you would use that to help you with 13 through 16. Notice that you have some markings on these triangles. Like in problem 14, you have congruent marks. If you have 3 congruent marks, that tells you all 3 sides are the same and all 3 angles are the same. If you have just 2 congruent marks, that tells you that 2 sides are the same and 2 angles are the same. This one is equilateral and this one is isosceles. Okay, if you want to, you can stop this video and then do some of the problems on the first couple pages of your review, and then you can come back and do a few more on the next page. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next page. When you're dealing with quadrilaterals, there's a couple different things to know. These two angles are going to add up to 180. If I had opposite angles, let's say I had angle E and angle C, they would be the same. They would be congruent to one another. In problem 18, alternate interiors tell us that this angle here would be 29. So this question mark angle would be the same as that angle there, and then you can use 180 degrees in a triangle. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to medians. Remember that a median splits a side of a triangle in half, so these two little pieces here are congruent for this problem 21. But if here's your median and here's your centroid, this piece of the median is twice as big as this piece of the median here. So for example, if I told you the entire thing was 9 units long, then you know that this would be 3, 3, and 3. Let's try another one. If I told you that one piece right here is 4, then you'd know that these would be 4. So the bigger piece of the median would be 8, and the entire median would be 12. So you're going to use that to help you solve these ones. Okay, this is just classifying your quadrilaterals. You can use your vocabulary sheet for quadrilaterals to help you with that. These ones, we've got more of an equation. It's kind of like what we did earlier on. You need to decide, do the two angles I'm looking at add up to 90? Do the two angles I'm looking at add up to 180? Or are the two angles equal to each other? Those are your three options. Once you decide that, then you set up an equation. So if I'm looking at problem 32, these two make a straight line. So that means they add up to 180. So then I write the equation 2x plus 10 plus 3x equals 180, and then I go ahead and solve that equation. And again, you can go ahead and stop this video, work on a few of the problems in this section, and then continue playing the video when you're finished. Here's some more problems about parallelograms. These two are going to add up to 180. These two are going to add up to 180, so you'll write an equation. When you're looking at problem 37, KH and FH are diagonals and they should be equal to each other. So you take these two parts and set them equal to each other. Okay, the next concept is mid-segments. If it tells you you have a midpoint, then we know that this is a mid-segment. So remember that mid-segments are half as big and parallel to that other side of the triangle. So if I told you in problem 41 that DB is what I want to find, and I know that XY is 5, then DB is double that. It's 10. Now for problem 43, you take that same concept, ZY, you double ZY and you get SU. So double ZY and you get X plus 14 times 2. And that's going to equal X plus 16. Then you need to distribute and continue. Okay, here's some more problems involving medians. Then the last section we have here is similarity. So if we go down to, let's see, if we look at a problem just like 58, we just need to match up sides. So this question mark side goes with the 15 in the same way that the 12 and the 20 go together. So make sure you set up these sides proportionately. So I'm going to say X goes with the 15. I just established a pattern of big rectangle to small triangle to small rectangle. So then I have to use the same pattern and say 20 to 12. How do I solve this? I cross multiply. And 15 times 20 is 300. And then I divide by 12 to get my answer. Okay, so that's just regular similar figures. Now this changes a little bit if we go back up to a problem like number 49. So here's 20. 20 matches up to 25 in the same way that 16 matches up to the question mark. So we can say 20 over 25 is the same as the fraction 16 over x. And then you cross multiply and solve. Okay? All right, I think that just about covers it. You've got the answer key on the back of this. You've got this video that walks you through a few of them. If there's still something that you're confused on, look in your notes. Also remember that our Canvas site has some videos for each of these concepts, and you could watch some of those videos too as you are preparing for your test on Monday. Good luck, everybody.